Hello there, good afternoon, and this is News Today. I am Akwatia By-Election. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Koko Mlimli. In our headlines this afternoon, about 15 high-risk Galamsey areas endanger Ghana's gas pipelines and power supply.
We have more than 50 communities we've identified as, Galamsey prone. Virtually identified all of these communities where we've intensified surveillance, monitoring systems.
We'll bring you more details as tampering or rupturing the pipelines can unleash disastrous explosions that can wipe out an entire community. Now, most beggars on Accra streets are victims of human trafficking, trapped in networks that profit from their suffering.
These Nigerians were deported to their home countries, but they are back in Ghana. It's common to see.
We have details from the chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee as JoyNews checks reveal return of child beggars on the streets of Accra 2 months after a major swoop by the Ghana Immigration Service.
Of those children you see, in our streets are actually victims of, child trafficking. Those issues came to the fore.
And in the news today, former flag bearer of All People's Congress, Hassan Ayariga, threatens court action against the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, over claims of reputational damage in an ongoing unearned academic title controversy.
The damages for destroying my credibility, and that is what I intend to do with GTEC.
We'll hear from GTEC, who have since apologized to Hassan Ayariga for not engaging him officially over the matter, as the commission also begins the compilation of all valid academic title holders across the country.
We cannot allow this to fester in perpetuity. GTEC, as a regulatory agency, is coming up a national qualification portal.
Stay with us, because for the next 60 minutes, we have details of all of the headlines that we have brought to you. This is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Thank you for staying with us this afternoon. First, the Ghana Police Service is meeting political parties to deliberate on election-related violence and preparation for the upcoming parliamentary by-election in Akwatia. According to the police, the session will serve as a platform to discuss both security and operational modalities for the polls, as well as the readiness of the Electoral Commission. Here is IGP Christian Tete-Yohuno.
All planning towards this ambition. We want to make sure that this by-election should be one of the most successful by-elections in the country. So this meeting, we call you the political parties who will be taking part in the by-elections, and also we have brought the EC, because they are the people who conduct the elections. And so there are things that you may like to ask. There are things that you have some suggestions you want to make. There are things that you feel that you have to let all of us know so that we prepare the grounds for the elections. That's why the EC is also here to throw light, the do's and don'ts, the conditions we have to follow. They are also here so that if there's any political party that feels that there's something that has to be done that is not yet done, we can all put our heads together to make sure that those things are done, and then we have these elections coming up very peacefully. So we thank you. The media want you to stay down at our executive reception and wait. When we finish, then the political parties will address you, and then our public affairs will also give you some feedback of what we have.
Most of the beggars on Accra Street, including children, are not there by choice. They are victims of human trafficking, trapped in networks that profit from their suffering. That's the disturbing reality. Chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, James Agalga, is exposing over the resurgence of street begging in the capital. Now, despite a swoop by the Ghana Immigration Service just 2 months ago, JoyNews' check showed child beggars are back. We'll hear from Mr. Agalga shortly, but first, let's watch the story put together by Rodeline Abense. From Obechebi-Lamte Circle through La Paz to 37 Station, the scene is obvious. Men, women and children, many of them foreigners, are once again turning the city sidewalks into open-air shelters and begging grounds. At the chaotic La Paz intersection, a little boy, not older than 7, approaches car windows with outstretched hands, and the look in the eyes, for want of a better word, could be described as desperate. The question now is unavoidable. Was the swoop merely a show of force or a sustainable solution? Watch this.
From Obechebi-Lamte through La Paz and 37 Station, adults and young children can be seen back on Accra's streets, pavements and under bridges. At the busy La Paz intersection, this little boy was seen begging for alms. These Nigerians were sent to their country, but they are back, posing a great inconvenience to both pedestrians and drivers alike. Some children, as little as 1 or 3 years, cross the road indiscriminately, sometimes resulting in accidents.
These Nigerians were deported to their home countries, but they are back in Ghana. It's common to see children as young as 1, 2 or 3 years crossing the road indiscriminately, resulting in accidents. These illegal immigrants flee immediately they see the police and return to their base once the police are not in sight.
Some beggars dodged during the swoop, hence were not deported by the immigration officials.
The government deported them, but they have found their way back into the country. Since they don't have any business plying on the street, it is best for them to return to their countries of origin. Officials stationed at various borders must stop taking bribes from them at entry points.
This issue is a very sad one. Some of the beggars dodged the swoop carried out by the immigration officers, so they were not deported. There are a lot here at Circle. The junkies and beggars even look the same. The problem is they make here very dirty. We want the government to focus not only on the Nigerians over here, but every other person who doesn't have work around should also be taken away by the immigration officers and soldiers.
Whether as a nuisance or as a humanitarian crisis, the return of the beggars raises pressing questions. How effective are deportations, and for how long will Accra streets be home to them? For JoyNews, Rodeline Abense's report, read to you.
Let's not watch news today. Now, checks by the Joy research team indicates that most of the foreign beggars are from Niger. Knowing Niger is under a junta, is this movement really trafficking or just people seeking safe haven? Or the begging is a chronic recitation target set by their teachers? Well, a lead data and research analyst here at JoyNews, Isaac Kofi, joins me in studio. Kofi, what have you found?
Well, so if you look at this map, it tells you that there is a structural problem, and we, as a country, because of where we find ourselves in the sub-region, we are at the receiving end of what is going on in the Sahel, region. So what we are seeing is that look at all the countries, labeled in yellow. This is actually the Sahel belt. So you talk about Chad, Sudan, Niger, Mali, and Mauritania. These are countries where we've seen the high levels of insurgents and all of that. Niger, for instance, is our focus because of what is currently happening in Ghana as far as street begging is concerned. But what you see is that if you look at all of these countries up, on top of Ghana, and because of what is going on in these areas, people have to migrate, right? And we understand that when they are migrating, currently, their #1 destination is Ghana. Why? Because across Ghana, if you are moving from, let's say, Mali or Niger, you want to move to, Togo. Togo, we all know what is happening there currently, the tensions. Or if you are moving to Ivory Coast, also having tension. So the safe spot at the moment, and we know the tension between Nigeria and Niger at the moment, so you definitely don't want to use that route. So you definitely come through Niger, either through Benin to Togo, then you head to Ghana because that is where you find some form of refuge. If you can look at the number, the Sahel conflict we are seeing, about 2.9 million people, according to the UNHCR, have been displaced internally. And we have done our checks, and more than 900,000 are currently seeking for asylum or some form of refuge in neighboring countries. Now, let's focus more on Niger, because that is very important. And talking about migration in Niger, I want us to go to the smart wall, look at where they even come from. So at the heart of Niger is a town called Talaberi. This is one of the places, and then also another town called Tahoua. These are places where people are actually trafficked, and they move from these areas straight to Ghana. So if Prince can put that on the wall, that will tell you that kind of movement where Ghana is their destination. Okay. But even beyond that, you can see the movement, there where, people move from this part of Niger, and their destination is to move south to Ghana to find that refuge that we are talking about. And so Ghana has become that safe place for people who are moving from this part of Niger, the central part of Niger, especially borders around, the border of Niger and Nigeria. They are moving from this place and they are heading to Accra. Why? Because they can find safe haven there. But beyond what is going on in the Sahel, it is also something that the United States Department of State have been saying about trafficking in Niger. So I want us to go back and analyze that also. We're done with the Talaberi here. Exactly. Okay. Two places, Talaberi and then Tahoua, according to the U.S. State Department's report. This is where majority of those who are either trafficked or find themselves in a very situation. They are from these areas and they try to move southwards for asylum. So let's go back to the big screen and also analyze what is actually going on. What has the U.S. been saying about the Niger situation and what do we know so far? So this is the 2024 report, the latest report that MFR we are getting, and it says that as reported over the past 5 years, human traffickers exploit domestic and foreign victims in Niger, and traffickers exploit victims from Niger and abroad. So what we are saying is that 2.9 million people who are currently displaced would definitely want to find shelter, move across internally, and also sometimes find themselves around the borders. And we know that more than 900,000 people have been displaced and are seeking asylum. They find themselves in foreign countries, like let's say from Niger to Mali or to Nigeria, and then they fall victims to trafficking. They find themselves to Ghana. We're trying to understand why we have so many Nigerians in Ghana. Why would somebody leave their country to come and beg in Ghana? So what we know is that Niger, according to the U.S. Department of State, has the highest rate of child marriage in the world. Okay. With 76% of girls married before the age of 18 and 28% married before the age of 15. So definitely one key issue that Niger is also trying to deal with is child marriage, and also part of the equation that we are looking at. Then it comes to begging. This is important because when we find most of them on our streets, what they usually involve themselves in is begging. And why is this so? According to the U.S. Department of State, again, it says some exploit boys. As young as 6 years old in forced labor and begging within Niger and neighboring countries. So talking about neighboring countries, Mali, Ghana, and Burkina Faso and all of that, because we are linked and all of that. It's also important.
This is interesting because, Kofi, I would have thought that the laboring would have happened outside of Niger. Because when you're seeking asylum, you nearly do anything and everything.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting that the data shows that even within Niger...
Within Niger, that is where the whole thing is born and bred, and then they look for external markets, if I should put it that way. And Ghana is gradually becoming those markets where they move from the north to southern part, and we become a good destination for them to come here and beg. And why is this important? The State Department report made a certain conclusion that I think that is very, very important.
Kofi, we'll come back to this. Stay with me, but we'll take our audience, we'll cross over to where the IGP met with stakeholders over the upcoming parliamentary elections coming up in Akwatia, and Tanko Computer of the NDC's addressing the media.
All the regional commanders and then the POMAC members to beef up security, and that they are not going to leave any stone unturned to make sure that there's enough security at the place, and so they are not expecting anybody to come with any macho men or personal security and all that. The EC also brief us what they intend to do in terms of accreditation. They will make sure that all our leadership who are going to do the monitoring observation will be given accreditation. And we are very clear in our mind that the NDC, we are committed to the peace plan, the process they've put in place. But we are mindful of the activity of our opponent who will come in there with dangerous weapons. You remember what happened at Blake Manoff? That triggered all this problem. And then there was a pepper spray. One of their leaders, Hawa Kumsim, had pepper spray in her back. She came to the place and was asking an necessary question. To the extent she was spraying that one, even to officers of the police as well as the EC officials. All this thing caused the problem at that polling stations. So we're telling them they need to beef up security and make sure that the fact that you are a former minister or a former MP or a MP, if you don't have accreditation, you have no business at the polling stations. And I also made it easy to make sure that they post the results at the end of the collation in each of the polling stations, because it's a requirement under Regulation 39(3)(c) that at the end of the collation they need to put one there, so that if there's anything, we can rely on that one too. The EC said yes, and they're also saying that we should make sure that our supporters don't tamper with those things when they put it out there. So we're clear in our mind. The police have given it all the assurance. But they were also worried about some arrests that are from this and our current Deputy General Secretary made a statement that former appointees will be arrested at Akwatia. They raised it there, and we're surprised. Why should they bring it to this place? Because our Deputy General Secretary didn't say the police will arrest. He said they will be arrested. But and there are other agencies. No, there are other agencies. It's not the only official authority. There are others. And I'm saying that if you are a fugitive, and then you should be worried about it. If you are not a fugitive, why should you be worried with a statement of that nature?
But as we speak, we don't know of any.
So hold on, wait and see whether the people will be picked or not. If you know you have done something against the law, and they are looking for you and they're not getting you, if you avail yourself over there, they will arrest you. There are other agencies who have the power of arrest. And they don't necessarily need. I have my two lawyers flank me here. I'm not a lawyer. These are two senior lawyers. And they've made me to believe that even citizens can arrest and hand over to the police. Are not true. If they find out that you are committing a crime, and then at that point there are no police around there, citizens can arrest. And also if you say that it is only police who have the power to arrest, then citizens should fold their arms. Other agencies will also have that power. And so he made a statement. And he didn't point out to the agency which is supposed to arrest. And we still stand by it that those that the agencies are looking for, other allied agencies, they've invited them, some have run away, they can't get them, they're hiding. When they appear there, they will trigger the arrest, other citizens will arrest them, or the agencies will come in and pick them up from the place. That one there is within the law. They are not violating any law. And my lawyers have made me to believe this, and I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
We are grateful.
Thank you very much.
Tanko Computer, Deputy IT for the NDC, Director of Elections IT for the NDC, briefing as after that IGP meeting with stakeholders. But back here on the news end with Kofi AJ. Kofi, you just speak up on where young boys as well are forced into, well, we'll take you back again. Stay with me. Nanabi as well is addressing the media.
First of all, this was a good meeting. We raised some important issues. The police gave us the assurances, but we said that assurances are built on confidence. We also expressed our dissatisfaction with the conduct of the Ghana police, especially in the recently held rerun of about 19 polling stations in Ablekumanov. We said that thugs who were linked to the NDC, who caused mayhem, their images are all over, the videos all over. And as we speak, the Ghana police has not effected any decisive arrest. We saw a communique that stated that they have arrested 2 persons. We don't know what came up. We don't have any update. Were they put before the court? Are they on remand? We don't even know anything at all. So we were very, very, very strong on this particular point. And then the IGP said that, look, they are also serious about it, and we should even expect that even today, by close of today, some arrest would be made. We also mentioned it to the IGP that, look, if they want us to rely on these assurances, then they must work on what happened in Ablekumanov. Why? Because if a stalwart of the New Patriotic Party or even any ordinary member is coming to Akwatia with the mindset of what happened to Honorable Howard Komsin and my deputy, clearly the person is going to protect himself. And I've kept saying this, that for the New Patriotic Party, we are going to protect ourselves. And self-protection is well stated within the laws of this country. So the Ghana police should give us that confidence that they have dealt with the Ablekumanov issue. We have 2 more weeks to go. And I think that we still have a lot of time for them to make some decisive arrest and put these hoodlums, these thugs, before the law court. We mentioned that. Then again, the police also assured us that they are going to deploy over 5,000 men and they do not need the services of the military. This is purely a police matter, and they also gave us that assurance that this is going to be a Ghana police matter and we do not want the intervention of the military. So largely, the IGP says that he is going to make sure that this is going to be one of the most peaceful by-elections we've had in this country. But our concerns are still the fact that we have had some people who caused some mayhem in Ablekumanov. They are still walking free. They must make some arrest and they must put these guys before the law court. So we said that.
Henry, so we know that we've seen the performance of the IGP and the police service in dealing with elections. Ablekumanov is an instance. How confident are you that the concerns you're raising will be addressed in the next 2 weeks before the elections?
Yeah, I think they can do so. Look, recently there were some few guys who made some comments on social media. The police, in their view, thought that it was a threat to our peace. They effected arrest. And as I speak, yesterday, they were released. So we also pointed this out to Ghana police that if you can make such quick arrest, how is it difficult for you to arrest people who've caused these problems over a month ago? But again, they assured us that they are going to have some arrest and they are going to make sure that they instill the confidence that is needed for us to go into the Akwatia By-Elections. So that is what they have said. But we have also mentioned it to them that as we speak, we lack that requisite confidence in the Ghana police, especially because of what happened in Ablekuma, where the people are, the images are all over, the people are seeing. For me, my deputy, he had almost about 20 guys on him. The videos is all over, there are images all over. So we also pointed this out to the Ghana police. Yes.
Well, that is Henry Nana
NPP as well addressing the media after that crucial meeting with the IGP. But again, on the news, Kofi Ajay is still with me and trying to help us understand this whole situation with the migration, and we're on the matter of the young boys.
Absolutely.
6 years.
And before this, you were pointing out the market. That the market is not only in Niger, but it's finding its way in other neighboring countries, and we are becoming the receiving end with respect to that. But this is what you were talking about. And
right.
For me, this is so important. So the next time you see a group of foreigners who are begging on the streets, especially if they are Nigerians or are from Chad, note that this is what the U.S. State Department is saying on the issue. If you consider their 2024 report, according to them, some Quranic teachers set daily begging quotas. Very, very interesting. Myself, when I saw this in the report, I was actually shocked that you have daily begging quotas from some teachers enforced by beatings. And according to their observers, I'm talking about the U.S. State Department observers, report that these are students who lack access to adequate food and shelter. So definitely talking about that 2.9 million people who have been internally displaced. If you find yourself at the wrong place or in the wrong place, somebody will find you as a good, use
of labor.
Exactly, for their market. And they will put you in that situation where you need to be part of a certain cohort who will be sent around neighboring countries to go and beg. And you definitely will have a quota that you need to report when you return to your home country. So the next time you see them on the street, know that it could be that they are escaping or they are subject of internally or displaced persons because of conflict or tension or whatever. Or it could be that these are people who are being forced to meet certain daily targets in terms of begging MFA.
Thank you so much, Kofi. And I'm certain that you didn't know about this. However, speaking on the AM show on Joy News, Mr. Gauga accused traffickers of orchestrating the crisis and warned that without swift action, the streets will remain a breeding ground for exploitation. He stressed that victims must be rescued and rehabilitated, while traffickers must be hunted down and face the full force of the law.
Had engagement with the Ghana Immigration Service with respect to the repatriation exercise that was carried out some time ago. And we were very particular about the human rights perspective. You know, for instance, what is the status of those children? Are they covered under our refugee laws? Can they be described as refugees? So we satisfied ourselves that, look, most of those children you see, in our streets are actually victims of, child trafficking. Those issues came to the fore. They are trafficked from various countries brought into this country to beg, and at the end of the day, those who brought them in become beneficiary to, the criminal act of child trafficking. So, we insisted that, okay, if you have to repatriate them, you must liaise with the UNHCR, the Ghana Refugee Board, to ensure that those who meet the criteria and can be treated as refugees are treated as such.
Away from that, communities in the Western and Ashanti regions are sitting on a ticking time bomb as illegal mining activities creep dangerously close to critical gas pipelines. Gensa Energy has identified at least 15 high-risk areas where Galamsey operations are cutting communication cables and threatening the veracity of pipelines. Ghana already struggles to meet its daily peak gas demand. This will compound to cripple national energy supply and lead to power shortage. Now, Vice President of Operations at Gensa Energy, Henry Abeku Opong, says the situation was uncovered by a monitoring team in Galamsey-prone areas that harbor national gas pipelines.
We've identified several prone areas. We have more than 50 communities we've identified as, Galamsey-prone areas where the activities normally interrupt or cut our communication cables. And we've actually identified all of these communities where we've intensified surveillance monitoring systems. Western region, I wouldn't be able to, fully reveal, but there are a lot of areas in the Western region. Galamseys are very active in the Western region. Our pipeline, Western region, Central region, these areas are areas we are battling and working assiduously to ensure the communities are well sensitized to understand that some of these operations are very harmful to the operations of the pipeline and can become real threat to the community. So we work with the communities effectively to ensure that they accept that their operations these levels of operations could harm and become a threat to the safety of the communities.
Now, my colleague Clinton Yeboah is on standby for further details. Clinton, tell us, do we know these areas and how severe is the situation?
Well, MFA Gensa did not specifically mention the areas, for security reasons and also for their monitoring purposes. But what we do know is that in Prestea, Takwa, Wassa, and Chirano, these are locations where Gensa pipelines pass. And along these corridors, we can confirm Galamsey activities and operations are actively going on and have already been reported on. Just 5 months ago, we reported Chinese Ghana illegal miners invading over 200 acres of stretched land in Eduma Forest, which is based at the Wassa West District. And so these very much known areas of Galamsey, we can confirm have extended dangerously close to the buried gas pipelines.
Well, Clinton, do we know how severe the situation is? At least can we measure, did he say?
Well, he did not mention how severe this situation is, but also mentioned how the effect of tampering with gas pipeline that he says is not a danger to only illegal miners, but also to the community and even the country, because if these gas pipelines are tampered with, the possibility of it exploding and we having another disastrous situation is very high. Aside from that, we are also on the brink of having power shortages. Doomsor might likely come back if we just leave people aloof and they tamper with gas pipelines.
Right, Clinton, thank you so much. This is definitely a developing story. We'll definitely be bringing you updates in our subsequent bulletins. And this is the news today. Now, away from that, billions of cedis in stolen state funds remain unrecovered. That's the challenge facing the newly sworn-in board of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO. At the inauguration, Attorney General and Minister of Justice Dominic Ayine directed members to strictly operate under Act 804 and deploy intelligence and technology to chase down every misappropriated PESWA.
You are the stewards of the institution. The nation expects you to lead EOCO with independence, courage, and fairness. Your role is not to serve any political, economic, or personal interests, but to serve the people of Ghana. I urge you to focus on 4 critical areas of the work of the Economic and Organized Crime Office. The first one, and to me the most important, is strengthening EOCO's capacity. That is, the requirement of us to strengthen the capacity of the EOCO means that we should invest in technology, in training, and intelligence-led investigation so that EOCO can keep pace with the sophistication of criminal enterprises so that they can be disrupted and punished for their actions. The second thing is to ensure integrity and independence. You have to guard the EOCO against external interference, even from me, and internal compromise. Very, very important. Without integrity, EOCO cannot command the trust of the public. The third thing that I would want you to focus on is to recover and protect national assets. Use the powers of the office to trace, seize, and recover the proceeds of crime, and ensure that such resources are channeled back into national development. And then the fourth aspect is collaboration. You have to build strong partnerships with the police service, my office, and the Financial Intelligence Center, and as well as international agencies, because organized crime knows no borders.
Now, Board Chairman of EOCO, Daniel Domelevo, vowed to deliver on that mandate through what he calls Operation Prevent and Recover or Loot. Wait.
Honest with you, the recovery is very key, and we must do that. But we must move beyond just the recovery. We must also put in prevention. So I normally talk about OPRA, Operation Prevent and Recover All Loot. So we must put preventive measures in place, as well as anybody who takes public funds, we go after the person, recover the money, and put it into the kitty.
You are known for how tough you are with your views and how you state the issues as they are.
Yeah.
Would you be in the helm of affair as the chair? What should those who are looking up to you be excited about?
Well, they should be excited by the fact that they know this guy, he doesn't care stepping on necks. People talk about stepping on toes. Me, I can even break your neck and go. Because when it comes to the national issues, I don't care who is involved. So they should be happy that the time has come. And it is a collective issue. It is not only for us. Citizens should get on board. They should help us to protect the public purse. I think it should be painful to all of you when you don't get the health service that you require. Your roads are bad. Electricity is not good, and all you hear is that millions of the money is being misappropriated by public office holders. I think this should be a thing of the past.
Now, for years, poor remuneration has been the silent burden carried by legal staff at the Attorney General's Department. Now, the newly inaugurated board of the legal service is being tasked to change that. At the swearing-in ceremony, Attorney General and Minister of Justice Dominic Ayine emphasized that underpayment has long impeded the efficiency of legal officers and must be addressed urgently.
We need to be able to, up our game when it comes to, salaries and remuneration. I have been making and will make a strong case to the government or to the president, so that we can look at the remuneration of lawyers working at the AG's department. Okay, the justice sector generally is, a problem when it comes to the remuneration, and so that is something that I will want to be. I will want to work seriously with you so that we solve that problem once and for all, so that we can attract the best. And retain. It is one thing to say we are attracting, and then another thing not retaining them, and then they exiting, because some of them sometimes use here as a training ground, because this is the best, place that you can be trained on every aspect of the law.
Now, Chairman of the service himself, Dominic Ayine, charged the board to offer strategic leadership and strengthen capacity of staff to build a more effective legal service.
The board is expected to provide strategic direction, oversight, and leadership required to strengthen the legal service and to build the capacity of its officers. I am confident that with your collective expertise and commitment, you will help chart a course that will elevate the legal service to the higher levels of professionalism and integrity.
Away from that, the Cybersecurity Authority is struggling with a high attrition rate, with many of its skilled staff leaving due to what has been described as unattractive remuneration packages. Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Divine Selassie Agbati, disclosed that low salaries remain a major factor undermining staff retention. He He revealed that the challenge is not limited to junior staff but extends to top management, including himself. He spoke at the ongoing parliamentary public account hearing into infraction identified by the Auditor General. My colleague James Aveji is there for us and joins me with more. James, what other issues has the committee been tackling? We'll try and connect with James a little later again to try and see if we can get more from that committee handling this particular issue. Maybe we've got James. James, what has the committee been tackling inside this? James, kindly unmute if you can hear me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, James, thank you. Please proceed.
Oh, okay. So the Director General of the Cybersecurity Agencies, Mr. Agbeti, who appeared before the committee, has been indicating that over the period, they have lost a number of good staff hands to both the private sector here in Ghana as well as to other countries in America and Europe. The reason he attributed to that is that the government is unable to pay this staff well. He mentioned that, in fact, even here in Ghana, some companies are able to pay this personnel they recruit from the cybersecurity agency as much as 8-fold the amount government pays them. Some of them, he said, have some special skills which needed to be retained, but because of poor payment, they are losing a number of their employees to both agencies in Ghana and outside the country. Then the chairperson of the committee, Abina Osasari, stepped in and mentioned that the issue about increasing salary is not only in a conversation, especially when payment in the public sector is governed by the single spine structure. And so if the agency feels that there are people with very special skills they need to retain, the agency led by the Director General would have to have a conversation with the Finance Minister in order to draft them into the special skill personnel so that they can retain such persons. And so that has been the conversation between the DG as well as the chairperson of the committee as far as the attrition rate is concerned.
Right. Thank you, James. James is still there for us, and we're bringing out more from that committee sitting. And away from that, founder and former flag bearer of the All People's Congress, Hassan Ayariga, has threatened to drag the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission to court for allegedly damaging his reputation. This comes in the wake of the controversy over whether or not the APC leader has earned a PhD and the commission's subsequent directive to him to stop carrying himself as a doctorate degree holder and being addressed the same. But speaking on PM Express last night, Hassan Ayariga challenged the position of the commission as he says he is yet to receive any official document from the commission.
But you should give me the evidence on TV and let the general public look at it.
Exactly. That's why
and make a judgment.
Exactly. That's why I want to hear. That's why I want to hear from you, Mr. Ayariga.
No, you should just provide the evidence.
Well, that's why I'm questioning. You said that GTEC hasn't written to you. The Director General is here. He said they've engaged you on several occasions.
Privately, with all due respect to my younger brother, that is not true. If that was true, we wouldn't have been here. How long will it take me to provide a piece of paper? How long? A degree? It's
not a piece of paper. That is what you got it wrong.
Prof, can you allow me to learn? How long will it take me to go into my wardrobe and pull out a piece of paper that is written there, PhD, to give it to you? How long will it take? But the way you destroy my reputation by telling people you wrote to me and the letter is in the media and I never received it. Can you prove to the world that you have given me a letter? I dare you to prove that letter. Prove that letter to me. If you destroy my name, my reputation, and you're asking me to come and sit down on TV and clarify that for you, I won't do that. You pay the damages for destroying my, credibility. And that is what I intend to do with GTEC. And I'm going to do that with GTEC. So whether you want to know, I've given you the thesis I've given you, the school, the class of PhDs I have. And finally, let me be very sincere with you. If GTech was not doing any propaganda, as you rightly said they are not, what is the essence of writing a letter to me on the 14th and in the 15th in the media asking the same question when I don't have it? How do I answer to you when I don't have a letter?
Well, Director General for GTech, Professor Jinapor Abdullahi, has since issued an apology to him, but still insists he must provide evidence to back his title.
Honorable Ayaraga, I want to use this medium to apologize if we do not follow the right channel in dealing with this issue. And I want to state for the record that we do not want to simplify this issue to be Hassan Ayaraga or any individual. It's not. And let me state for the record that for us as a commission, our interest is that we want people like Hassan Ayaraga, who have done so well for this country, who have gained a certain level of recognition by society, that they are being awarded an honorary degree to be recognized as such. That notwithstanding, if he has attained a PhD, going through the process of attaining a PhD, then he should be recognized as such. That is the bottom line. We want to make that distinction. So, Honorable, if for some reason we have offended you, I want to apologize to you. But I want to state for the record and emphatically that if you have not attained a PhD, or if you have attained faith and you haven't provided evidence, then it is not right that a person of your stature should more or less present yourself as somebody who has attained faith. So all we are saying is that communication in terms of writing is what? To alert you of a request. And you are very much aware of this request. Why are you not producing it? That's it.
You're watching News Today. Please stay with us for more. Thank you for staying with us. This is still News Today. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Dr. Hugh Brown, is courting the support of the church in the protection of the forest. He believes the fight against illegal mining can be won when the church speaks out against negative practices that harm the environment and advocates for sustainable management of natural resources. There's more in this report.
Forestry Commission is entrusted with and manages forest reserves and wildlife parks. This represents about 15% of Ghana's land area of 238,540 square kilometers. Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Dr. Hugh Brown, says managing Ghana's forest resources requires concerted efforts. He says it is only when stakeholders, especially the church, which has divine responsibility to be faithful stewards of God's creation, play their roles well in support of efforts by the Forestry Commission, that optimal results will be achieved.
The forestry profession is the first job that was created on this earth because God created the earth and handed it over to man and asked us to be stewards, very good stewards of these resources. And the Forestry Commission, as I indicated, have been mandated to protect 15% of this entire landscape of Ghana because of the forest reserves and the wildlife parks and the trees we have in our off-reserve areas. But as you know, we have been overwhelmed by illegal activities, illegal farming, illegal felling of trees and illegal mining. And we have spoken and told the whole country that we cannot do it alone. We need support of every stakeholder in this country. And for the church, because we are supposed to be good stewards, we are supposed to reach out to the Forestry Commission like we did during the Tree for Life Restoration Initiative. The churches supported us and planted trees across the country. We are asking all churches to continue to support the Commission in that wise. And secondly, when we see illegal activities going on in our communities, we should report them. As Christians, once again, we are supposed to be the stewards of our resources. Because one day, at the end of the day, as we indicated, we are going to account for how we manage these resources.
Dr. Brown made the admonition in a speech read for him by the Director of Operations at the Commission, Valerie Fomenasa, at the ongoing annual camp meeting of the Krapa district of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He commended the Seventh-day Adventist Church for leading the way in landscape restoration initiatives through government's flagship Green Ghana and the 3 for Life projects. The Commission wants the church to create alternative livelihoods for their teeming youth to discourage their interest in Galamsey.
The Chief Executive and the entire staff of the Commission have done a lot, but it is not easy. We need the entire country to be on board. Unemployment is one of the major issues. So we are asking the church if they can create employment opportunities for the youth in the church so that they will be distracted from these areas. Because if they don't have anything to do, they are tempted to do that, although it is illegal. So the church should help us in creating job opportunities for the youth.
Meanwhile, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has assured the government of its support in the fight to protect the environment, especially water bodies.
Also in the news today, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has released its half-yearly report for 2025, detailing high-profile investigations, prosecutions and asset recoveries between January and July from the pursuit of former Finance Minister Ofori-Atta, now declared a fugitive from justice, to cases involving procurement scandals, payroll fraud and illegal mining. The OSP says it is intensifying efforts to make corruption a costly and unattractive enterprise. The report also highlights new collaborations, youth-focused anti-corruption campaigns and calls for stronger constitutional backing to combat graft. Details of the report is on myjoyonline.com. And that's how we wrap the bulletin for today. I am MFA Akwatia By-Election. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com.